What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. It has been quite a while. I believe it's almost been 2 weeks, or has been 2 weeks since the last episode. I do apologize, everyone. It has been extremely busy here around the house and at work the last couple weeks, and just haven't had the time to sit down and record and play the game. I am sorry. I want to play this game as badly or worse than you guys want to see the game that I play. So I do apologize. I'm trying to record as much as I can. I think going forward, I'm going to continue to put out videos. I just may not be able to do them every day or two like I was doing. You might get 2, 3 videos a week. It is what it is. Life happens and work happens, and I just at sometimes priorities, right? Like at the end of the day, this is just a game, so I have to play when I can, and then obviously work and hang out with the family when I can as well. So I'm just trying to balance that right now, and yeah, that's just kind of where we're at. So I hope you guys understand and bear with me. But the content will continue. The Mobile Bay Bears will live on, and we will try to run it back for another World Series championship, 3 in a row. We are currently on July 1st, right where we left off at the last episode. We are 43-35. This episode, we're going to get through the first year player draft and get towards the trade deadline, and hopefully get to the trade deadline or maybe through it. We'll see how the timing works out for the episode. I'm going to keep the episodes about the same length as I always have, 30 to minutes to an hour. I guess that's kind of a wide range, but that's just kind of how they play out. They tend to edge towards that hour mark. I like to get as much in as I can for you guys, but yeah, it's just kind of where we're at for this episode. Let's go ahead and push through into the draft, and once we get there, we'll do what we always do: first 5 rounds with you guys, and then I'll push through the last 15 rounds and let you guys know if anything happened. But just to catch you up, we are 5.5 games out of first place in the division. The Minnesota Twins are 49-30. The Bay Bears are 43-35, and the Toronto Blue Jays and New York Yankees are right behind us at 40-38 and 40-39, respectively. There are a few games before the All-Star break and the draft, which is on the 11th of July this year. So it looks like we have about 10 more games before that date. We did finish June 15-12, so pretty solid month. Nothing crazy to write home about, but nonetheless, all 3 months this year have been above 500. Nothing has been, outstanding, but it's all been above 500 and has kept us in the division race, which we are trying to win again this year. So hopefully we catch fire on the back half of the year after the All-Star break and pull away from the competition. But yeah, there's only one way to find out if we do that. This month, starting out up until the All-Star break, it looks like we have 4 games on the road at Detroit, and then we come back home for 3 versus Tampa Bay, and then 4 games against Baltimore before we hit the All-Star break for the 3-day period right there, the 12th, 13th, and 14th. Some time off, much needed rest, and then we hit the ground running in the second half of the year at home against Boston, and then we go on the road to New York Yankees. Let's go ahead and push through, and then I'll get us up to the draft, and then we'll talk about the draft class. All right, we have made it to July 11th, the day of the first year player draft, and we had a pretty good run here in July. We lost the first 2 games of the month on the 1st and the 2nd, and we haven't lost since. So I would say that's a pretty good run up into the All-Star break. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 game winning streak. Could potentially be 9 depending on how the game goes today, but we have to do the draft before that, and then we can find out what the result of that game is. But either way, we won at least 9 of our last 10 games up into the All-Star break. We could win the last 10 games to the All-Star break, so huge momentum for us. Unfortunately, with the 9 game win streak, we only gained 2 games in the standings against Minnesota, so it sounds like they went on quite a similar run as we did. But we did separate ourselves from third place in the division. They're 9.5 back, and then the fourth place team, the New York Yankees, at 44 and 44, are 10 games back. And now we are also 7 games up in the wild card spot, the first wild card spot. So we're in pretty good position here going into the All-Star break, and definitely still in contention for that division title again this year, especially if we keep playing like we just played. Of that, let's talk about the All-Stars. We did get a few All-Stars, and very deserving. Man, you can tell I haven't done this in a while. It's very deserving of these players. First and foremost, Matt Simbrat, again, just dominating. He's 11-2 with a 2.79 ERA and 18 starts. He has a 3.2 WAR and a 75 FIP minus. So just stupid numbers, and I don't even know what to say. He's just $30 million a year. I mean, he's earned it. Let's just be honest. This dude's just dominating. So we got Simbrat, his All-Star. That is his third All-Star selection. Next, we have Vicente Jasso in his 6th All-Star selection. He now has 6 All-Star selections and 6 Gold Gloves, a World Series, and a Silver Slugger. He is having quite the career and has really bounced back after 2 pretty abysmal offensive seasons. Really, really doing well offensively this year. His defense is really starting to tick down, and I mentioned it before, but now his catcher blocking and arm is down to 70. All of those were 75 a month ago. So he is really starting to trend downward, and he's 30 years old. He'll be 31 soon, so not atypical for a catcher. We do have him for a couple more years, so hopefully he can hold out a little bit. The third player that we got was, of no surprise, Danny Fouts, just having a stupid year. He's got 5 home runs, 33 RBIs, 62 runs scored, only 48 walks to only 47 strikeouts. So he's walking more than he strikes out, and he also has 31 stolen bases. He almost has more stolen bases than he does strikeouts. Think about that. Stupid numbers. He's hitting 304 with an on-base percentage of almost 400. He's got a 130 WRC plus and a 3.3 WAR. He is having a career year, and it's not even close. And I am so excited that he finally got the recognition he deserves, and he's finally an all-star. Like, this dude is putting up crazy numbers for his career, and only thing he has to show for it is 2 World Series titles. And I get it. That's a lot, right? Like, he's got 2 World Series titles, but should have definitely more All-Stars than he does. His first All-Star selection, so congrats to him. Very well deserved, but what a shame for him to only have the 1. Next is Luis Castillo, also putting up pretty good numbers, 19 home runs, 67 RBIs, 281 average. A 916 OPS with a 145 WRC plus and a 3.4 WAR. So that is his third All-Star selection. So he is packing in quite a resume himself. But I believe we are running out of time with him. I think he's got, I want to say, 1 more year of arbitration eligible, and then he becomes a free agent. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's correct. I'll have to go and look at that. But 1 at most 2 more years with us, and he's going to be pretty expensive as well. Also want to check in before we go to the draft on the top 100 prospects list, because we haven't had a player on this the top 100. Whenever they highlight the top 10, and they give me that, I don't know, every month or two, they give me that highlight, and we haven't had a player on that in quite a few years, from what I remember. But we finally have one, and that is our 2036 first round player. That is the 27th overall pick in the 2036 draft. Chris Collins, you guys might remember, I drafted him because of his overall just decent bat with that glove in shortstop, and looking to maybe make him our next super utility guy, like a Jaworski Lane, something like that we've had in our organizations before. So he's a prime candidate for that, and hopefully he continues to develop. He's still in rookie ball right now. I checked him. He's just not quite ready for low A ball, and he just needs a little bit more. I mean, you could argue I would send him up, but right now he has no expectation on his role. He's not unhappy. He's normal in all of his emotional attributes. Like, everything's fine. So I'm going to leave him in rookie ball to see if he can develop a little bit more before I put him in A ball. He's only 19 years old, so we still got some time. I think, if we can get a little bit more development out of him in rookie ball this year, and then move him up maybe towards the end of the rookie ball season or the end of the year, and hopefully he'll be ready for low A ball, but he just wasn't quite ready. I need a couple more of these categories to bump up before I feel comfortable trying to give him a shot at low A ball, especially since his morale and all the emotional things here are at a normal attribute, if you will. So once that changes, I might consider moving him up to maybe making him happier and see if that produces. But right now he's content, so I'm going to leave him where it is. But he is the number 5 overall prospect in the major league systems, or the major league rankings for the minor league players. So pretty cool to have a guy back in there. It's been a while. I don't even remember. Maybe it was Jasso. Was Jasso in there? I think Fouts was in there too. God, there was another one in there. I can't remember who else was in there, but we've had a couple up there before, but it's definitely been a while, long enough to where I can't remember who it was. Maybe you guys remember. I don't. If you do, throw me a comment down there and let me know. But either way, it's cool to see the Bay Bears back into the top 10 of the top 100 prospects. So hopefully he can turn into be the next Danny Fouts type player and produce like Danny does, except maybe he'll get more recognition and more freaking all-stars. All right, sorry, enough rambling on, but let's get to the first year player draft. And honestly, let's see what's available. We're picking dead last in the round. We don't have any supplemental picks or anything like that, so we'll see what is available. I'm not even going to look at the top prospects because obviously they're not going to be there at 33. So I'll go ahead and start the draft and then sim ahead and let you guys take a look at what we have to choose from in our 2038 first year player draft. All right, we have fast forwarded it, and kind of slim pickings as expected. There's one 5-star prospect, another 4.5 star prospect, and I'll be honest, they're not that impressive. I did kind of look at them. I looked through quite a few of these, and I'll go through the top 4 stars and up prospects, and then throw in some honorable mentions in there that I'm looking at as well that I think could be pretty good picks for us. I don't know if I'm not gonna go with them first round, but I think they might be available in the second round and could potentially be what we're looking for in that round. But anyways, we'll start from the top. the best prospect left over, according to our scout, is Mr. Dan Perk, starting pitcher. Nothing really to speak of here. I don't know how this dude's a 5-star prospect, maybe because of his stamina and his ability to not allow home runs, but very questionable fastball. Is the changeup going to develop, and is the cutter going to develop? I would say so, probably, because it's already a 40, but man, there's just not much there for this guy to be a 5-star prospect. So I'm probably going to pass on him, especially at $2 million. Next is TJ McLaughlin, a lefty. Again, not a lot there. Strictly bullpen guy. Only has 25 stamina. You can't give up a first-round pick for a guy like this. I got 15 guys in my system that are pitching that are better than him. So next is Chris Brewer. Very similar story. Don't know what we're doing here. Like, this is, a very late round pick. I'd be shocked if this dude's off the board in like the first 5 rounds. Like, that would be shocking. I wouldn't pick him in the first 10 rounds probably. I'll be honest with you. So we'll see where this dude falls. But as the third best prospect left over, no, thank you. Randy Fryer is the first legit 4-star looking or better prospect, and he's a lefty. He's a starting pitcher. Has good stamina, holds on runners well. Has a good, looks like potential 3-pitch arsenal. But the question is does the changeup develop at 18 years old? It's still only at 30. It's the big if. But overall, a pretty good profile. Don't hate him, but don't love him. Mr. Randy Bad Moon Fryer. He's also wanting slot value, so not crazy, but not sure if he's what I'm looking for in the first round at least. Zaire Munlin. Not a lot I like about him. I do like his personality. He's got good intelligence and financial ambition, but other than that, this profile screams one-pitch pitcher potential. His fastball looks like at best it's going to be major league average. His slider below average. His splitter below average, and his changeup looks like it could be elite. However, does it develop? This could potentially turn into legitimately a guy that can't even get out of Double-A ball. He's a lefty. I like that. He's got good stamina. He holds on runners well, but he also throws from the side. He's a side armor and only throwing 89 to 91 miles an hour. So just a lot of red flags on this guy. So definitely not something I'm really looking at, and especially for $1.6 million. Next is Luis Quintero. Not bad profile. I don't hate it, that's for sure. The only thing is he is older. He's 21. And a couple things here. One, you guys have seen the talent in our pitching pool. And while I will agree that it is not ever a bad thing to have too much pitching, never. However, with as much as we have, I feel like it would not be smart to take this guy in the first round. A 21-year-old that could potentially be ready for the major leagues in a year, maybe 2, could bog us down a little bit, even more. And I would prefer to take a younger pitcher and then give him time to develop and not have to rush him up to the major league level because he's ready, and make room for him, if you will. So that might be a dumb idea to not take a pitcher. I would agree that he's probably the best looking pitcher that we've seen thus far in this draft. Don't know anything about his personality, which is a little weird considering he is a college player. He also only has a fair competition level, so is this really going to pan out? There's just a lot of question marks on that side. And the fact that he's already 21, he'll be 22 soon. I think we're pushing the envelope a little bit on him, and we don't necessarily need the pitching right now, if you will. So I think it would be smarter to wait for someone that's younger, that has a similar profile, and has time to develop and kind of deepens our minor league system, if you will, instead of logjam the top. That's just kind of my thought process. Again, could be completely wrong. And I think it might be best wise to go with someone that's a position player or a younger starter. That's just my opinion. Yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at on that. He's also wanting $1.4 million, which isn't bad. It really isn't. But something tells me not to take him. Andy Schaefer is next, our first position player that's left on the board. And not bad. Got great pop for a corner outfielder. Going to hit decent-ish, probably, like 240, 250 average. Okay speed, or as far as, not really okay speed, below average speed, but he can steal a few bases, it looks like. He has good base running abilities. And he's going to play an average corner outfield for us. So nothing special, nothing to write home about. I don't necessarily think it's our first round pick, but I could see a spot for him in the future, kind of similar to a Luis Castillo type player. He is a lefty, but again, doesn't jump off the page at me. I don't know if I'm going to get that in here in this round, but whatever. We're the very last pick of the first round. I'm still not just going to pick anyone. All right. Next is our second position player, and that's Ken Bielik. Switch hitter. Love that. Love the hitting profile and the speed. Definitely gives me Danny Fouts vibes with the contact and speed combo. High financial ambition, so that's kind of a red flag, but he has good work ethic and intelligence. He studies the game like no other and will give you 100% effort on and off the field to improve the game. And it looks like he plays a very solid corner outfield, more so on the left field side than the right, but can play right as well. It doesn't look like it's going to be much at center field. Also, not going to be much at first base either. I was looking at that. He is 6'2", but I don't think he's going to turn out to be much of a first baseman. Maybe he is an average first baseman. We could look into that too. But definitely like his profile so far. I think he's the front runner in the clubhouse here. Fouts is, as we talked about, approaching 30 years old. This guy's 18. By the time he makes it to the big leagues, Fouts will be 34, 35, possibly even 36. There's a good chance that, Ken Bielik could be the leadoff hitter of the future. He's a switch hitter. He's got everything you want in the leadoff spot. He doesn't have much pop, but that's fine. And I typically want that out of a corner outfielder, but I'm willing to sacrifice that if this dude's a switch hitting leadoff guy that has all this speed, is going to steal 40, 50 bags a year, is going to hit 300. Like, I'll take that over, a guy that we have to have that hits 40 home runs and hits 220. So, definitely like him the most so far. Next is Mike Brook, another reliever type guy. I love his personality. I don't like the low intelligence, but I love everything else. He's got leadership, loyalty, work ethic, but he get 2 pitches. So definitely not a first rounder for us. Okay, that is actually all the way through the 4-star prospects and into the 3.5-star prospects. The prospect we liked the most was Ken, and he's a 3.5-star prospect. So went a little farther than I actually was going to, but is what it is. Couple of players that I do want to mention. Billy Ryan, who the mock draft has us taking. I don't mind him. He's a catcher. He's got a great hitting profile for a catcher, has decent speed for a catcher, and plays well at his position. He's not great. He's no Vicente Jasso there, but he's definitely respectable major league average catcher, if you will, defensively, and is going to hit well. However, he is wanting $6.5 million, and that is who the mock draft said we were going to take. But I can't spend $6.5 million. I have an $8 million draft budget, and I'm not going to spend, 85% of that on one player, especially if he's not a home run type prospect. And he's not bad, don't get me wrong. Decent profile for a catcher, but not a $6.5 million profile. So not going to be taking him in the first round. I highly doubt he's available in any other rounds, but at $6.5 million, I probably wouldn't take him anywhere. The other guy I like is Ron McClure. Interesting here is he's only wanting $1.4 million, and while he doesn't have great movement potential, he's an extreme ground ball guy, and is going to keep it in the ballpark, and he's going to have good control, and he's going to potentially have 6 pitches to include a knuckle curve. So really interesting. Holds on runners ridiculously well. He's a left-handed pitcher, great adaptability, decent stamina. Definitely could be a starter for us. Love this guy, minus the movement rating, but maybe that can develop to more. I feel like it has potential too because of his home run rating potential and his control. So we'll see, but I thought about taking him in the first round whenever I first saw him. But that would be completely dumb. And I'll tell you why. Ron McClure is expected to go in the 4th round, according to the mock draft. Now, I find it highly unlikely that he slips to the 4th round. What I was thinking of doing is taking him maybe in the 2nd round, or if I really wanted to push it to the 4th round, but I don't know if I want to push it because I'm 1 pick in front of the projected pick. So I think for us, it would be smart to take him in the 2nd round and get the guy that we want. And I think if we do what we want here, I think perfect world we take Ken in the 1st round, and then we take McClure in the 2nd round, and then we adjust from there. I think that's the smartest pick. I went through a few other guys. There's Jesus Romero. I like him too. Super utility guy. Great. Got it. Gonna have a decent bat. Not great speed. Nothing really wrong with him besides the fact that he doesn't have great speed. So, you could argue that he's a good option as well. And I looked at his, I want to say he is projected to go in the 2nd round, 7th pick of the 2nd round. So about 14 picks from now, he would get selected. So I think it's very possible that he is taken before we can get him. So I think we focus on Ken and then to Ron in the 2nd round, and then we'll adjust in the subsequent rounds. 99% sure I looked in the scouting director is going to recommend, oh no, that's not who I thought he was going to recommend. Andy Dresselhaus. I didn't even come across this guy. I'm not a fan. Nothing crazy. He's got a decent hitting profile, good speed. Can't steal bases though, so the speed doesn't do much. He's got a little bit of gap power. Plays a mediocre second base. Doesn't really play anywhere else. Not the type of guy that we're looking for. I don't even know how much is he requesting? Slot. Yeah, I'm not going to go with what the old scouting director wants, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Ken in the first round. So, Ken, Mr. Mayabi Bilek, welcome to the Mobile Bay Bears. All right, here in the second round, our scout wants us to take Wally Frenzoni. Bad financial ambition, low adaptability, so definitely not something we're looking for. However, he might be in trouble. I do not see Mr. Ron McClure. That is unfortunate. Let's see where he went. There he is. Where'd he go? Doesn't say he got picked up. Sorry, guys. I'm having a crazy moment. Ron Atkins. Should have probably done this off camera. Oh man. It doesn't say. Hold on. Oh, yep, Cincinnati Reds. Man. Cincinnati Reds took him. The 23rd pick of the second round. Man, that's tough. What a tough blow. I mean, either way, I think I'd have taken Ken in the first round, even if I knew Ron was going to get taken. I think it just makes more sense to take Ken. Timing works out with Danny Fouts' potential career winding down to have a player just like him. So now we got to readjust and figure out what we want to do for the second round. Let me go through and look at the rest of these remaining players and see what's out there. All right, second round, and crazy enough, I kind of like more prospects here in the second round than I did the first round. First one is Andy Schaefer. I believe we talked about him in the first round. I believe we talked about him. Kind of reminded me of like a Luis Castillo profile, lefty hitter, some pop, plays an average corner outfield, gonna steal a few bases, nothing crazy, but won $1.6 million. But overall, not a bad prospect for a corner outfielder. It gives you the pop that you're looking for out of that corner outfield spot, and yeah, not a bad prospect. The next one, I liked Ron Atkins' profile besides his fielding. He just never, I don't think he's ever going to amount to anything in the field. So, going to pass on that. The other one was Josh Caron. Really liked his profile. Just overall great profile. Good hitting profile. Great speed. Great stealing ability. A good adaptability, work ethic, and is going to play a solid corner outfield. Not going to play center field like his profile says he is, but going to play a solid corner outfield and just be an overall, looks like, balanced player that could really benefit the organization. There was one other, I need to find it real quick. Man, where was this? Sorry, guys. I had I'm all screwed up. Let me find the other player I was looking for, and then I'll come right back. Okay, found him. Sorry, I was looking for an outfielder and he was listed as a second baseman. Ben Bishop. Okay, so love his hitting profile. Got great or decent speed. Gonna steal some bases. Has great leadership, work ethic, and financial ambition. His personality says he adds a spunky, can-do attitude as a position player. However, it has him as a second baseman, and he is projected to be a pretty terrible defensive second baseman. However, I believe with his infield range and error and arm and all that stuff, he could be a first baseman at 6'4". I think that he's probably best suited to be a first baseman. With all of those things together, and if he turns into a first baseman, I do like Ben Bishop. He's a lefty, um, solid pop, good gap powers, got some decent speed. He's also durable in the injury world, so a lot of things to like about Ben. The only question is he going to be able to be a first baseman? What's his rating going to be like defensively? Is it going to be good enough? But his hitting profile, I love. So that was the third guy. I narrowed it down to those three. And coincidentally, like the second round pick's a lot harder to pick than the first round. So let me do some thinking and let you guys know what I'm gonna do. I think the smart thing to do here is to go with a more balanced player, a guy that can hit, that can run, and can field, and has good personality. He just has everything, right? He checks all the boxes in some way, shape, or form, and I think it's just smart to go with Josh Caron, the corner outfielder that is listed as a center fielder. Um, it just makes the most sense here in our second round pick, and I think he's the best prospect that's still on the board, personally. So I'm gonna go with Josh Caron here in the second round. So welcome to the Mobile Bay Bears, Mr. Josh Caron. All right, third round, and I really hate to keep picking outfielders, but man, I keep finding these guys that I just like, and I can't get away from them. Another switch hitter, Mr. Keenan Shearing. Durability, for injury proneness, great overall hitting profile for a third rounder. Has great gap power potential to go along with the speed to ensure that gap power isn't wasted, and he can play a decent outfield, corner outfield, but still haven't found a true center fielder that their profiles suggest they are. But like I said, I hate to continue to keep picking outfielders, but it's just the best players left in the draft. I haven't found a single pitcher that I should take right now, and yeah, that's just kind of where we're at. I didn't plan on this, but I think he's the best player left, and I'm gonna go with it. Um, don't know if I should be continuing to do this, but he's only won $800,000. He's got a decent profile, definitely the best player left. I think it's a no-brainer. Unfortunately, it's just another outfielder. I wish he'd be like an infielder, but he's not. So we are where we are. But Mr. Keenan Shearing, welcome to the Mobile Bay Bears. All right, I think we go with a catcher here, Jimmy Anderson. Um, Potentially an average catcher, nothing crazy. He does have good leadership, adaptability, work ethic, and intelligence. So maybe that suggests he could get better defensively. Does have low loyalty, so that's unfortunate. But a decent hitting profile for a catcher, a line drive hitter. So, and he has decent speed or really good speed for a catcher. So I think we should go with the catcher here, just as some depth in the organization. We really are lacking that depth, if you will, for the catching position in our organization. So I think it just makes sense to go there. And it's the fourth round, so it's not a terribly high pick. The other option was Andy Anderson, and ultimately it looks like he's only going to be able to play first base for us and nothing else. Now, he can play first base at a pretty high level, but he was essentially stuck there. And you know me, I'm not huge on those guys, even though I get it. I'm taking a catcher, but that's a position that, like, obviously they're only going to play catcher. Um, I like guys that can either play first base and the outfield, or like first base, third base. I like to be able to move guys around and not be stuck. And I foresee that's going to happen with Andy Anderson. He doesn't have good ratings anywhere besides first base. So I think it's just best we go with the catcher, Jimmy Anderson. He's wanting a little bit more money, but gives us that depth in the organization, like I mentioned. So I think it's just the best option. So in the fourth round, Jimmy Anderson, welcome to the Mobile Bay Bears. All right. Well, good news is in the fifth round, Andy Anderson's available. So I think we'll go ahead and take him. We were on the fence the first time about him in the fourth round. I think it just makes sense to take him in the fifth round. There was a pitcher that I was interested in and was considering, but I think ultimately Andy Anderson was the other guy that we wanted in the fourth round and were willing to take, but ultimately didn't because we liked the other guy better. So I think it just makes sense. Let's just go ahead and take Andy Anderson in the fifth round of the 2038 first year player draft. Welcome to the Mobile Bay Bears, Mr. Andy Anderson. All right, so that is the first 5 rounds. So I'll go through the remaining rounds here in the draft and do that offline like I've done every year. I'll let you guys know if anything else pops up that's interesting, and if it does, obviously I'll bring it to you. But other than that, I'll get through this, and then I will see you guys on the other side of the draft where we can start pushing our way through July. All right, we have completed the draft, and it is time to finish up the last game before the All-Star break and then roll into the All-Star break and then get into the second half. So I'll go ahead and get through the All-Star break and come out on the second half, and then we will look at the schedule and get rolling through July. All right, we are through the All-Star break. It looks like the National League did win the All-Star game. As it sits going into the second half, we are 51-38, 4 games back from the Minnesota Twins, in sole possession of second place of the division. The next closest team are the New York Yankees at 45-44, and then right behind them are the Boston Red Sox at 500, 45-45. Taking a look at the schedule, we did lose our last game before the All-Star break, so that did break our win streak. Looks like we had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 game winning streak that got snapped the last game of the before the All-Star break, where we lost 7-2 to Baltimore. Going into the second half of the season and the second half of July, we have 4 games at home against Boston and then 3 games on the road against the New York Yankees. So pretty big division opponents there. They're way behind us, but we want to keep them way behind us in the division standings. And then we come back home to play Philly and Cincinnati before going on the road to finish out the month of July at Texas. And then we roll into the trade deadline and August. So I will push through a couple of weeks here and see where we're at. All right. We took 3 of 4 from Boston, so a good start to the second half, but then we went on the road to New York and lost 2 of 3 to them. So unfortunate that we lost that series, but I want to kind of turn our focus to maybe taking advantage of some value of players that we have left that I think we can part ways with. And one of them is a injured player that is back, but is on a rehab assignment, and that's Nate Aguilar. So we kind of have put him in minor leagues just for a rehab assignment. He's coming close to his maximum time on his rehab that is allowed. He will be a free agent next year, so no doubt there is no chance we sign him. He is a wrecked injury proneness. Had an outstanding start to the season for us in 28 games. He was hitting 363. Dude can hit, and he can steal bases, no doubt, and he can play a solid defense. But he's wrecked, and it's tough, right? Like, we have two outfielders in our major league team that are currently wrecked. Well, Nate isn't technically on the major league team, but normally he would be. It's Nate, and then Mike Flores is wrecked, both of which we are going to be losing at the end of the season. So I think it's possible, if there's a way to extract any value out of them, that we do so. And we're approaching the trade deadline, so that window is closing, and I think it's a good time to maybe try and offload Nate Aguilar, because I really don't have a place to put him on the team, because the current outfield that I have is producing, and I just don't see anywhere to put Nate Aguilar. Now, you could argue that his speed and his average plays and yada yada yada. I don't disagree. I don't. But at what cost? Like, how long is he gonna play? Because he's wrecked, and we all know that that's gonna rear its ugly head again, and he is going to be hurt, and then I'm gonna have to call someone back up, and we're just like calling people up and down. I don't know if there's any validity to it, but does that lose their momentum? Does that mess up their morale? Like, things like that in the game, and I just don't want to mess with the team as it is currently. 14 games above 500. Yes, we're kind of slipping in the division now, because it seems like Minnesota is on a just rampage. We're 7 games back, but we're still definitely in the wild card hunt, and we're still in the division hunt too. And I just don't want to mess with the current continuity of the team, if you will. And I want to extract value out of Nate Aguilar. And just so happens I was shopping him around, and there is quite a bit of value. Let me get back to it. As you can see, I kind of already had one guy picked out. But this is Nate Aguilar's value. A ton of younger prospects these teams are willing to give up, and I guess it's the base stealing. I mean, he's still got a great profile if he wasn't wrecked, and there's no way that I re-sign him. I don't even know. He wants $16 million for 4 years. Like, there's absolutely no in no world do I give that to him. So why not try to extract this value? He's got a ton of value. And I came across 2 players that I liked. And I will show them to you. The first one is Bob Parks. I will get an updated scouting report, but I like Bob Parks. He is 25 years old, but he just made his major league debut this year. Playing well, 263, 5 home runs, 19 RBIs. Plays a solid defense in the outfield. Runs well, does a little bit of everything. Not great at anything, but is a solid young prospect, or I would say middle-aged prospect in this game. But he's also a lefty, and he's durable. So I think that's pretty good value. You get a guy that just made his major league debut, so you still got a few years before he hits arbitration. And he's got a pretty decent profile, and he's durable, so he's going to be in there giving you everyday at bats. So I liked him, and then let me. It's been a minute. I've gone through so many players. Let me find this other guy, and then I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. I have looked through so many profiles that I forgot the guy's name, but I knew he was a second baseman, labeled a second baseman. So I found him. That is Edgar Cancel with the San Diego Padres. He's only 17 years old, so it looks like they just signed him as an international free agent last year. They do have him in low A ball. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. Like low A ball, like that's his ratings. I think that's tough, right? I think he would probably be best suited for like the Dominican Rookie League still. Like he's still 17 years old. I think the Rookie League is probably the most sensible place for him. And he's only got, they bounced him back and forth from Rookie League to A ball. Like he's doing well in Rookie League, but he's just not ready for A ball, so he's not performing, and that might be affecting uh, his development a little bit. He's unhappy with his role on his team, so I don't know. But what I will say is he's got a solid profile for an infielder. Like he's gonna hit well. Average to above average hitter, probably around average hitter in the major leagues. Not gonna run a ton, but is gonna fill his position well. As you can see, second base, shortstop, so he's naturally a middle infielder. Can probably make him a third baseman. Yeah, gonna have a good arm. We could probably train him to be a third baseman as well. So he could play all those positions for. Just a good versatile guy. I love his personality. Got good adaptability, intelligence, and he's often found talking with the coaches long after the drills are over. So I like his potential to develop and potentially be more than a 2.5-star player when it's all said and done, when he's 21, 22, 23 years old. That's my take. I'm not sure if you guys feel the same way, but that's how I feel. Now we need to figure out, like, okay, do we need more infielders or do we need more outfielders in the organization? And I did go through and take a look at that, just so you guys can see this. Infield wise, we're pretty slim. So we have a couple older prospects that, let's just be honest, are just fillers in the major leagues and fillers for worst case scenario injuries they're fillers for the minor leagues and fillers for injuries in the major leagues. But like this guy, Jamie Blankenship, can only play first base. Phil Burns, same thing. He can't even play first base, and he's old. Max Anderson, old. These guys are just filling holes in the minor leagues. The only real good prospect we have is Shamel Lede, and he is burning through the minor league system. Like, he's in AAA right now, has a 119 WRC plus and a 1.8 WAR. He is developing quickly and is quickly going to be in the major leagues. It is very possible that I call him up in September, or he is on the major league roster to start next year. He'll be 23 years old. So great development out of him. Love his power, but just overall, just like him. And he's 22 years old, so that's good. He's the next man up. But other than that, we don't have anything. I have a 29-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 37-year-old, a 30-year-old, another 28-year-old. The next closest would be Jesus Luna, which isn't going to play much because he can't defend, so he's probably never even going to be on the major league team. And then Carl Medina, who we have had on the major league team very briefly, but he's got a hamstring strain, and it just probably is never going to amount to anything, but would be the next guy in line. So it's really slim pickings until you get down to our top prospect, Chris Collins, who is 19 years old. But that's pretty much it. And then you look over at the outfielder side, and we're just loaded. We have Julio Aldo, who's 24, Kevin Herman, who is probably close to on his way out. He's due for arbitration this year at $2.2 million. I probably won't give him that, but he does have good captain personality, and he's still a viable option on the major league level. Don't get me wrong, but he's 28. We have Joe Gage, that is 24. He's hurt right now, but can play respectable outfield and a respectable bat. Sam Grissom, I really like this kid. Young, but you're 24, so I'm hoping to see a little bit more development, but he can play great outfield. Sam Hake, same thing, approaching that age where is he going to finish development, but can run, can play outfield. We just have a lot more options to dive into the the minor leagues for these outfield players. We're slim pickings on the infield, and if you remember the draft we just did, we just picked a ton of outfielders just because. So I think it just makes sense to go infield with the option over with Edgar Cancel for Nate Aguilar straight up. I think they're willing to take him straight up, and I think it just makes sense to go and get a young player that is a prospect for a guy that we just not going to use anymore. And why not just get some prospects for this guy and see if it works out for us. So I'm going to make this trade. Let me know what you guys think of the trade. If you think it was smart, if you think it was dumb, but I just don't see a reason to keep Nate Aguilar around with all the prospects we have in the minors. If somebody else gets hurt in the major leagues, like, we have options. And Nate is, at this point, just a guy holding up a spot in the roster, and we're going to lose him at the end of the year and get nothing for him. So I'm going to get him while he's hot. He did so well at the start of the season. Maybe that's why he's so popular in the trades. So I'll take advantage of it and go with Edgar Cancel and try to bolster our depth in the organization for infielders. So going to go ahead and complete this and going about our day. We actually got some money too. We're up almost $1 million now. We were down almost $1 million somehow, but we got some money and we improved our infield depth. So good news for us. I'll continue to look for trades as we approach the trade deadline and during the trade deadline, obviously. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the episode. I think this episode's running long as it is. I do apologize for that. I wanted to get to the trade deadline and maybe through it, but we're already, I think, at an hour or close to it. So I'm going to end the episode and get this one out for you guys. Again, I apologize. It's been so long since I put one out. I think it's over 2 weeks now, or at 2 weeks, whatever it is. I do apologize. I will get them out more often, I promise. I've just been really busy lately. But I think the schedule is freeing up a little bit to start getting back to things and trying to get a couple videos a week out. So just bear with me, and I appreciate you guys for watching, for commenting, for liking, subscribing, all those things. I do appreciate it. It helps the channel, and I hope to see you guys in the next episode. Have a good one.